It is time for less of this controversy and more of that professionalism and quality, and that will come in the form of our first interview, which is with the delightful Russ Holland from the delightful Coffs Harbour. Russ Holland, are you on the phone?
G'day, Simon. How you doing?
Fantastic, mate, and welcome to Your Net Profit.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I've got to say that's the hardest $200 you've ever paid.
Mate, I can't wait for next season, mate, because it's going to hurt me every night. I didn't sleep last night, and it wasn't because of the federal budget, let me tell you.
Now, Russ, debt consolidation, talk us through it from a broker's perspective. What is it, and how much of your business does it represent?
Yeah, Tineka, look, I've got to say your Streetwise interview's pretty well nailed it this morning. Essentially, where a client generally has a property loan, it could be for their home or an investment property, and a range of other debts. Personal loans, could be credit cards, car loans, and debt consolidation really is simply refinancing all the debts into one simple loan with a single repayment.
Makes it sound easy, doesn't he? Russ, from your personal experience, and I get many clients up there in the beautiful Coffs Harbour. But by the way, for those that don't know, Coffs Harbour, whereabouts is it?
Coffs Harbour's in God's country, if you look that up on the map. It's the mid-north coast of New South Wales.
So just Google God's country.
Google God's country.
Got it. Russ, from your experience personally, some of the benefits you've been able to provide clients through debt consolidation, can you share some of those with us?
Yeah, Simon, look, it probably sounds a little bit wussy to say, but I think without a doubt the biggest benefit that I see for clients doing debt consolidation is to increase their personal cash flow.
Yep.
And that's a result of reducing various monthly payments. But of course, the biggest benefit of that is a result of the reduction in stress levels that we see in families, and that's really pleasing to see.
Well, it certainly sounds like a good option for a lot of people out there, but is debt consolidation for everyone?
Look, Tineka, I'd have to say here unequivocally, absolutely not. Debt consolidation can certainly be a saviour, but unfortunately it can also be a curse. It kind of sounds counterintuitive to say this, but for some people, freeing up their personal cash flow gives them that false sense of security, and they can end up back where they started in a very short time. It's a bit like some people you see who win the lottery often end up with more money worries at the end than they did before their win.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that money worry though. I think I could handle it.
I just like the phrase counterintuitive. I thought that was beautiful. Beautiful, Russ.
Mate, I've been practicing that all night.
Russ, as far as lenders and debt consolidation are concerned in that space of the market, my assumption would be that all lenders do get involved in debt consolidation. Are there some that are better than others from experience?
Yes, Simon. Debt consolidation loans, the important distinction here is that they're not a product. Debt consolidation is a solution. So having said that, there are some lenders that won't allow refinancing of personal debt, particularly if the client requires the taking out of cash to deal with some of that debt. And of course, competition in the market dictates that some products are certainly better than others. But everybody's situation is different, and as with any lending, we need to make sure that the client is getting the right benefits with the right product.
Of course. Now, you've obviously had a lot of experience in this area dealing with people that have taken on debt consolidation. Is it always the case that people who consolidate debt, is it because they're financially stressed, or are there other reasons?
Yeah, Tineka, it's an interesting one. Generally speaking, and certainly from your Streetwise interviews this morning, most people perceive the reason that they debt consolidate is to reduce their personal debt, and that's certainly the case. However, one of the other areas that we often use debt consolidation for is to assist people with increasing their borrowing capacity. So, for example, we often consolidate personal debt for a client wishing to invest. So it's not that their personal debt is hurting them on a day-to-day basis, it's the impact that debt has on their capacity to borrow. So, for example, when I ask clients what credit cards they have, more often than not people will say, I don't have any credit card debt. Now that's true, they don't have any credit card debt, but what they do have is a credit card with a $5,000 limit and a zero balance. Now the lender was going to assess them as if the day after settlement they went out and bought the new 3D TV for $5,000. So debt consolidation we often use as a means of increasing that borrowing capacity for people who are wanting to get into property investing.
That's a really good point. So it's not just about reducing the stress levels that you quite rightly spoke about, Russ. It's about increasing the serviceability in the eyes of a lender for a future, perhaps, investment property.
Absolutely.
A really good answer. You must have a good example, Russ, and I don't want you to use names, of course, but give us your best example, debt consolidation, what it's done for somebody.
Yeah, I think the best example is a situation where I have seen the significant impact on a family's life. One of the things through debt consolidation, unlike other types of lending, we really get to know the client's personal situation in how they're struggling and what impact it's having on their lives and that sort of stuff. So, a couple of examples that I've experienced is really getting to know clients on a personal level, but then seeing them, maybe a month or 2 months or 6 months later, even in a social setting, and just seeing the change in their lifestyle and the impact that it's had on kids and what they're able to do in their family, and I find that really satisfying to see that change.
Yeah. And I guess on the other edge of the sword, what's the worst?
The worst. Well, I have to say we did have a client that was struggling to meet repayments. The debt consolidation was done, and they were certainly in a much better position. However, what we can't control is someone's personality, and a year later they were back in my office. They'd done it again, and unfortunately getting into debt is often a habit that is very hard to break. And these types of people benefit greatly from financial coaching and personal money management.
Yeah, definitely.
Gets back to that earlier show that we had, doesn't it, about the budgeting and the coaching. It's very true. Russ, obviously there's costs involved with debt consolidation. Are the costs enough to put people off, or what sort of costs are involved?
Yeah, I think as with any form of refinancing, Simon, you've got to consider the exit and entry costs. Yeah. If people have an existing loan, that loan product may not be suitable to roll their personal debts into. So what are the costs to get out? What are the exit costs? I know the government's trying to make that a bit easier to move between lenders, but those costs are still there. What are the costs to get into the new product? And you've got to weigh out all of those kind of costs up. But the most important thing to consider is the hidden costs, and that's that people need to be aware that converting a short-term loan of say, a car loan over 4 years into a loan over 30 years, that hidden interest cost is an absolute critical one to consider. So we have to look at those costs particularly, and the benefits of making the change before any decision to consolidate debt is made.
And again, Russ, that comes down to that discipline, I think, that you touched on before, doesn't it? If there is a cash saving short term or cash flow benefit short term, that's fantastic. I think almost becoming a mortgage broker's role, if you will, via the coaching, is to make sure that people then just don't get into the habit of just spending that money because it is readily available. Why not put it back into that home loan and in fact enjoy the benefits of reducing that debt much sooner?